Welcome to Work the Left Side. Two episodes this week. And tonight I'm joined by Sandy Beeches. You guys know I love a referee. I love being able to talk to you, well, to refs, to what they do for a show. The importance of a good referee, I think, is so important to a show. Obviously, it started with Craig Anderson, then I spoke to Scott. I've spoken to your partner in crime, Mr. Referee. And now, yes, finally get to speak to you. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Looking forward to this. It's the Zebra Army. It's got to represent.
Of course, yeah, all about the zebras.
So, as I mentioned, obviously, I spoke to Lee a few weeks ago. And we was talking about, I think people don't know. I mean, I like to think I know a little bit, but after talking to Lee, I was a little bit wiser, a bit like, okay, I didn't quite know, it was such like a team effort. Like if you're not in the ring and the next person is, you're still doing stuff, you're still helping, you're still kind of like, being like a guiding light kind of thing.
They're working we're giving times, we're kind of giving sort of direction in the ring. I think sometimes, if you're alternating on shows, obviously you need to kind of get your next finish or any kind of moves that you need to know for the next match. So you might kind of disappear for a little bit in terms of comms, but then you're off chatting to other people as well. So yeah, it's a busy effort.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, obviously, the wrestlers turn up, they have their match, and that's their night's done. You guys, like I said, prior to speaking to Lee, I was like, okay, you kind of like normally, from my experience, you normally get 2 refs on a show. You kind of call it, split it 50-50. And that was my mindset. It was a 50-50. What if you worked 4 matches, somebody else worked the other 4. So you kind of, but as I said, that's not the case. You're in the ring for 4 matches, but actually you're both working 8 matches.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're really lucky, you can get 3 refs on a show, and that is lovely because you do feel like a little bit of a rest between matches.
Take it in turns. So I mean, yes, like I said, the importance of the ref. It's been stated before. I think across the industry kind of thing. A great ref can make a good match super, and a bad ref can turn a great match awful. You're just in the wrong place. Obviously, the pressure's on you guys to not mess it up. Really, then I'd say. How do you cope with that?
We feel the pressure. Yeah, I think sometimes there can be a nervous energy. It's a little bit like duck paddling underwater kind of thing. We're cool on the surface, but underneath, we don't want to mess the show up. We want to make sure that the show goes well. We know so many kind of spots in the match. I think a lot of referees don't tend to understand the full match because that's a lot of information for us to take on. So if little spots kind of happen here and there, accidents can happen. We kind of get squished in the corner unintentionally. But I guess it's just how you kind of react to that, make it look sort of natural. But yeah, we do the best we can to stay out of the way.
Unless obviously you're in the ring with HT Drake, who uses you as a human shield.
Yeah, that was a first. He approached me backstage and he was like, right, Sandy, so for match with Priscilla, I'm gonna Simba you. And I was like, you're gonna what? It's like, I'm gonna Simba you, all right? He's like, looking at your frame, I'm just gonna literally lift you up, Simba you, and then I'm gonna chuck you into the corner. And I was like, yeah, sure, okay. It was like, can I just practice that? And I was like, okay. So literally backstage, just lift me up. And he goes, yeah, that's cool, sorted.
I was gonna say, I think the fact that he termed it Simba was just like perfect. So I think it was actually Lee. I put a picture of it on Twitter. I'm pretty certain Lee commented of like a GIF of Rafiki just yeeting. I was like, yep, there we go, perfect. But again, you're there to be involved if needed. You're a character that can be used to heighten certain moments if needed. If not, awesome, but that opportunity is always there if you want to use the ref. Ref spots are always kind of like memorable.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the Simba spot, I think officially that probably would be a DQ. Um, However, within the moment, it's a lot of fun. I'm not going to turn around and be like, right, no, that's it, you're disqualified, because that's just like totally that part of the match entirely ruined, brings the crowd down. So in certain situations, you can just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like you sort of said, they've always got that get out clause. I love it when commentators sort of say, "Oh, the ref's been a little bit lenient because they don't want to ruin the match and just have it end in a DQ." So that's like the ultimate get out clause for me for any ref. You can just be like, "No, I didn't want to ruin it."
Especially if it's like the main event, you're like, no, 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 I'm not going to end the main event on a count out. It's the main event.
That's it. So, obviously that happened at True Grit. If people weren't aware, which is a show that I've seen you officiate at loads. Obviously, there's Pursuit as well. It seems like I mentioned Pursuit on pretty much every episode that I've done in the last few months, kind of thing, for numerous reasons. Obviously, yeah. I mean, how are you finding it? Just again, anybody who is in Pursuit in that kind of environment, I like to sort of just pick the brains on. It just seems like such a positive place, such a it's just really creative, and everybody seems to have this collective force about them.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I started off at Pursuit. That's kind of where I started. Like I find it very supportive. I've never kind of been involved in any terms of wrestling before. I've obviously liked it as a fan as a kid, but I've never kind of got involved with anything, never kind of aspired to be a wrestler. But everyone's very supportive. And especially doing the in-house shows and stuff as well. That's a really nice kind of environment for people to kind of get a little bit of a vibe of what a show's like without the pressure of feeling like everyone's paid to see you. Because I know I had my first in-house show 2 years ago now with Pursue. I think it was PPW 5. And I totally messed up my first match. It was Liam Slater versus Bryce, and I had the finish, but there was kind of a little bit of a messy sort of roll up in the corner. I counted the 1, 2, 3, and in that moment I was like, oh my god, I don't know if that was 3, and I felt like time stood still in that moment. Looked around and I was like, and then I've got Liam at me going, was that 3? Was that a 3? And I was like, yeah.
Owed it. Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, it was, yeah. But again, very supportive of that. I was like, I'm really sorry, I totally messed that up. But with it being an in-house show, it was all about learning, supportive, kind of wrestlers can kind of try out new things before kind of taking out onto a full show. You can kind of get a bit of an idea of where cameras are, because they're kind of really good with different camera angles. Obviously, you've got the hard cam. I think for First Pursuit, we had the weasel cam.
Yes.
But yeah, you kind of get used to things before kind of going out into the big wide world of wrestling.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the well, again, I think after talking to Lee, I'm sure he mentioned. I think over Manchester, where he sort of said, there is actually a ref school over there now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not commonplace. So obviously, you need to learn the trade somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the perfect environment. If you make a mistake, yeah, it kind of sucks, but you can crack on and you learn from it, and you don't do it again at the next show.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not gonna make mistakes and you're not gonna learn from anything. But yeah, there's the rest school now with James Greenwood, so he does that down at Future Shock. We've got quite a few trainees down there. They seem to be doing really well, getting onto shows and some really good shows as well. Kind of when I first started, there was no kind of specific ref training. I kind of did a lot of Googling as to how do you become a wrestling referee, because I had no idea. I literally got in touch. I didn't even know what the difference between a wrestling school and a wrestling promotion was kind of when I first started. So I'm just emailing anyone that's to do with wrestling. And then it was Danny O'Doherty from Rise, the promoter. He emailed back to me because I literally was like, right, how do I become a ref? What do I do? Do you do that kind of training? And he's like, no, like we're a promotion, but like PPW just opened down in Sheffield. Get in touch with like Liam Slater, let him know that I kind of put you forward for that, and then we'll go from there really. So literally just popped down. I kind of felt like it was fate that I shouldn't do it because I got lost on the way there, and I was like, oh, maybe this is like fate telling me that like I shouldn't do this. I think I ended up at a Thai gym opposite the road, and I was like, do you know where the wrestling school is, guys? And they were like, wrestling? And I was like, yeah.
Cool.
I literally turn up, have a conversation with like Liam whilst I was there. And he's like, yeah, cool. Like, I'll see if you can do like a couple of like bumps. So literally did like a couple of like back bumps, little front bumps. And he's like, yeah, cool. Like, just come along to like the wrestling training sessions and kind of learn on the job, really. So I've kind of never had any official ref training as such. Although I have had a lot of guidance from the likes of Scott Bell, obviously Lee Thomas. Yeah, working with lots of guys. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's it. I mean, because that was, it was going to be a question, because I tend to find, sort of the old school, from people, other refs I've spoken to, they kind of got into it as in like they wanted to try wrestling, but they didn't quite didn't come naturally to them. So there's kind of like, right, I want to be in the business, but I admit I can't do that sort of stuff. So I'm going to be a ref kind of thing. You're sort of saying you had no desire to be a wrestler. You just kind of had this urge to be a ref.
Yeah, well, me, I can't be a wrestler because I have a fused spine. So I was born with scoliosis as a kid, so curved and twisted spine. So I had that fuse when I was 15. So in that sense, wrestling's kind of never been a safe option for me. And like, I don't know, like I've obviously liked wrestling since I was a kid, always watched like WWE. And you kind of just think, oh, well, like just this little lass from England, like how am I going to ever get involved in like the world of wrestling? Like no one in my family like enjoyed wrestling. None of my friends did. So it was kind of like this weird alien world that was kind of like never achievable for a little girl originally from Harrogate, And so, yeah, literally got in touch with the school and was like, right, let's get involved with refereeing. I think it was kind of when I started to sort of maybe watch AEW when that kind of first started. And obviously you see Aubrey refereeing, and then obviously now you've got Jess as well, SmackDown and Raw. And so I'm like, oh, okay, it's actually possible for a woman to referee. It's not a qualification to be a middle-aged man to be a referee. So yeah, I just kind of got involved, realized it was possible, and yeah, it's kind of history from there, really.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely something that seems to have just jumped in the last couple of years. Like, let's say Aubrey being the first one of memory. I'm sure there was, female referees prior to her, but she was like the first one in the main events, to my knowledge, to my memory, kind of thing. But yeah, it seems to be popping up everywhere now. Kind of like, so I said, there's a few in WWE. It's just it's progress. It's just the norm.
And GCW, who's absolutely killing it with like the death matches and looking like an absolute badass. So yeah.
So obviously, you go to Pursuit. You're learning, as you say, you're learning on the job. You're doing it in front of the in-house shows. I say, I know Scott obviously goes through Pursuit, and Lee, obviously, as I said at the start, your partner in crime, as I would describe him, really, because I think when one of you, there's always the other one at most shows now, and you've kind of formed that teamwork. You kind of got, he said it like you kind of got to that point now where the other one knows what the other one's thinking without having to vocalize it all the time. You can kind of really talk in shorthand, which makes life a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I have not got enough good words to say about Lee. I'm putting you over, Lee. Are you happy? Yeah. But honestly, like I haven't had I wouldn't have had as many opportunities as I've had kind of when I first started if it wasn't for Lee. He kind of got me involved with like Shooting Star. That's been a lot of fun. Kind of also got involved with like One More Round, again, a hell of a lot of fun. And yeah, we kind of I think I did the first, it was PPW 5 I did by myself, and then it was PPW 6 was the first one that I kind of worked with Lee. And And yeah, we just click now. He's definitely my reffing partner in crime. We like to pop each other on comms, every now and then, but we are very professional also at the same time. But yeah, definitely. If I can recommend anyone enough, it's Lee. He's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, as a fan, I'll vouch for the awesomeness of seeing both of you in the ring. Obviously, talking to him, I'll vouch for him as a general human being. The guy's awesome. But yeah, again, it's just like that teamwork, partnership. Obviously, we mentioned Pursuit, talked about True Grit. This Saturday night, you've got a fun show lined up ahead of you, I believe.
Yes, so we've got Planet Wrestle. I think it's meteors and mince pies, or maybe the other way around. Yeah. So that's going to be in Bradford on Saturday. Usually around about a 6-match card, so that is lovely. We've got Pop Punk Kid with Nash, Wing Commander Nash, in a no ho holds barred match. So that will be very interesting and very festive, I'm assured.
You got Axel versus Mr. Jim, the strongman.
Jim Maguire. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun as well. But yeah, I think Planet is just such a fun promotion to work for. I like Jake. He's such a lovely guy as well, very supportive of everyone, just wants everyone to have a good time, in terms of like the guys and girls wrestling, in terms of like the audience. It's just about having a good time, enjoying wrestling, not being too serious with it, chilling out and just enjoying it.
That's it. I mean, and that's I've never made it to a show yet. I've tried to support them as much as possible, plugging in XYZ. I will get to a show at some point. But I ask people about it all the time. People who go, they just sing the praises. This is like Planet Wrestling. It's just like I say, it's just a very fun show. You can sit there. If you're not walking away with a smile on your face, you're dead inside, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's always a lot of fun. I think it's kind of nice that you kind of have a spectrum of kind of wrestling shows. So you kind of have your more kind of serious kind of shows, but then you just got a lot of fun. Kids can be there and just enjoy kind of the fun stories that happen.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what wrestling is. It's like I say, it's just a spectrum of different sort of tones and styles. Obviously, Planet Wrestler. I'm talking True Grit. Talked about Pursuit. Obviously, classing yourself as a Pursuit alumni, Pursuit, not employee, but part of the foundations, the building. You guys are getting everywhere at the minute. That must make it easier for you because the wrestlers are going off and being on like 6 or 7, 8 different promotions. They all know you as well. So
definitely, I've got to say, like, all the guys and girls are always, very supportive, always kind of give like lovely feedback and stuff in terms of like refereeing. So kind of say everyone's kind of getting out there. Obviously, you've got like Leon now that's getting off to TNA, crazy. You've got like kind of like Jack Bandicoot's over like Progress now. So you even got like Jet Marshall that's over like at Rev Pro and stuff. So everyone's just reaching out and very, very proud of everyone. I'm very happy for them.
And that's the thing, like, again, that's something else. That's why I sort of said, about Pursuit, just being like, just really just a massive bundle of positive energy because you all seem super supportive of each other. And there's no sort of bitchiness, there's no sort of jealousy there. It's like everybody's elevating everybody else. And again, but that kind of ties back to not just to talent, but like I say, you, Lee, Scott, the main 3 obviously refs that I've spoken to from there. And you're all very quick to big each other up. So it just feels like, just a kind of very much of a family vibe.
Definitely. Kind of like going into refereeing, like I've never kind of felt any bad vibes from anyone, everyone that I've worked with, kind of worked with a few refs now. So there's kind of like obviously with Lee and Scott, not like a bad word to say about them. I've kind of worked with like LK as well. There's obviously Ross and Katie up at like Northern Grafters now who are doing really well, getting out on shows, getting on to North. And then obviously there's like more people a little bit further down south. So it's like Danny Marks, he's doing really, really well and getting onto stuff. And everyone's just very supportive of everyone. And it is so lovely. It's such a nice atmosphere to work in, because kind of like my day job can be very, very bitchy. And it's nice to be able to get away from that.
Just enjoy the people that you're with, and you know that, and know that they enjoy your company as well. Obviously the talent moves around a hell of a lot, but as you're sort of saying, it sort of seems that the reffing aspect is a bit more, it kind of reminds me of the old school territorial days, where you get a certain bunch of refs who will referee this territory, you get a certain bunch of referees who referee this territory. Every now and again you can branch out a little bit, you know, you might go somewhere else, but it does sort of seem like there's little packs of you all across the country.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously kind of like, I guess like northeast, like say you've got like Katie and you've got like Ross, you've obviously got like Rich Swift that's working up there as well. And then also kind of, I guess, Manchester, Liverpool area, that's kind of mostly like James Greenwood and LK's kind of domain, and obviously like with his and her trainees going on there. I guess more down south, you kind of got like, there's Tom Scarborough, there's Martin that I've worked with as well. He's kicking it in like all the promotions down there. So yeah, it gets like a little bit territorial, but I don't think, you know, it's
Not
in
in a bad way.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, you know, they'll invite you down. It was just, the point of that was it must just feel nice, you know, if you get invited out of the territory, if they're just kind of like, you know, thinking can't work tonight, so, you know, do you fancy it? And you'd be like, oh yeah, awesome, you know, a total change of scenery.
Yeah, because I had the opportunity kind of earlier this year to work over at Wrestle Island. So obviously that's kind of like more sort of like LK and James Greenwood kind of territory. But I think I was meant to be working the show with LK. Unfortunately, major travel issues meant that LK couldn't make it on the day. So I ended up kind of doing the whole show with a lovely tag gauntlet thrown in there for good measure. Thanks for that, guys. And yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Shame I couldn't have worked with LK. I feel like sometimes the forces at B seem to pull us apart, but we tend to work with Catch together. So we did that recently as well. So that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Obviously, Wrestle Island, I like to class those guys as friends of the show. I'll always big up what Peter does over at Wrestle Island, because it's such a community-based promotion. And the money that they raise for the community, for autism and stuff in the area, food banks. Yeah. How did you find it? Obviously, it sounds like it was an absolute nightmare in the sense of kind of planning stuff. But overall, you know, was it a good vibe? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna say it was stressful to arrive there. I think I had literally LK messaging me on the way there going, oh, I think I'm gonna be a little bit late, so you're gonna have to do the first few matches yourself. I was like, yeah, cool, that's fine, I can manage that. And then maybe like half an hour later she was like, yeah, I'm not gonna make it at all. But everyone was very like supportive. We kind of got like Ant, obviously the camera guy that does all amazing film and stuff. He was always very much bigging me up in the back and showing me capybara videos. So that's very supportive. But yeah, everyone was really kind of nice. You know, they kind of, it was like, right, I need a finish, or is there any moves that I need for the match? Everyone kept it nice and simple for me because they understood I was the only one there. When it got to the tag gauntlet, everything was like out of my head. So as soon as we were kind of like in the ring, every time like a new team came out, I was like, right, what's the finish? What's the finish? Just tell me the finish. And then, oh, it's gonna be this, it'll be this, it'll be this. So I kind of did that as we were kind of rolling through it. But like as well, the audience were really supportive as well. Obviously I was a new face to them, but it was a lot of fun, yeah.
Well, I see, like you sort of said, you know, yeah, if you're the only one there, you've lost you've lost the comms, haven't you? You've lost that kind of, you know, guardian angel kind of thing, telling you like, yeah, timing it for you, giving you this, giving you that. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if people would appreciate or get just, you're kind of working like half blind in the sense of like it's totally on you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you're kind of organized and you kind of find someone there that you're kind of trusting that doesn't have too much going on for themselves, you can ask them, oh, would you mind doing my timings for me, and that kind of thing. But sometimes you kind of just have to old school it and, wear a watch and be like, But I absolutely hate it when I catch myself kind of like, if the show's been recorded and I just catch a little whoop of myself, I'm like, oh no, I've looked at my watch and everyone can see that. But yeah, sometimes needs must.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just it's one of those things. I think wrestling fans are very good at suspending disbelief. Obviously, we can allow you a quick look at the watch every now and again. If we can buy into an Irish whip being a valid move, we can let somebody have a look at the watch.
Too.
It could be for numerous reasons. You could just be like, oh, okay, well, I've got to go home in like 2 hours. Don't matter. So.
The Skybox is recorded. It's 9 o'clock.
Oh, damn it, I'm missing such and such. But yeah, I'm glad you got to experience Wrestle Island. As I say, I do like that. I don't like that promotion. I love that promotion. I love what they do. But then I just sort of say, I know wrestling coaches and stuff, they have like swap overs. I know like Future Shock and Pursuit kind of swaps Slater and Bailey. We mentioned the referee school earlier. Would you like to be asked, to teach a seminar? Do you have seminars in like refereeing and stuff?
I mean, for me, I think I still feel like I'm fairly new to refereeing. I think I've been doing it maybe just over 2 years now. And so for me, I kind of feel like I'm still learning. So I don't feel like I can be teaching people. I'm happy to kind of give people feedback and stuff if they want that, but I still kind of feel a bit weird when people ask me for feedback, and I was like, why do you care what I think? Kind of thing. I still feel very fresh and kind of new into stuff. I mean, maybe something in the future, perhaps. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, it's there. That's what point. Yeah, sorry, I know. I keep forgetting it's only been around for a couple of years, kind of thing. But yeah, obviously, when you're feeling a bit more experienced, like I said, with the referee school, it's just, yeah, I'm always kind of intrigued by people coming in and doing guest like seminars for training, and I can just imagine, because obviously wrestling's got so much variation to it. But then again, you're like, reffing, there's not just one style of reffing. People will work differently depending on how they find it easiest, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think as well, kind of when you're giving feedback to kind of other referees, it's kind of like, this is just like my opinion. It's not telling you that this is right, this is wrong. Kind of people do things, like I say, differently. There's no right or wrong way officially to kind of do things. Everyone's kind of gonna variate things in their own way. They've kind of got to make it theirs.
Well, that's it. I mean, again, though, that's exactly the same as wrestling. I was speaking to Brandon Butcher yesterday, and he was on about like working at Evo and like getting feedback from like Scotty and stuff, or Robbie, and be like, look, okay, this is what I would maybe do, but it doesn't mean that it would work for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Selective.
I always find as well, if the referee, if you're going to get feedback, it's great getting it off wrestlers. I feel like they always kind of say, if it's a compliment, they're like, oh, well, yeah, we hardly saw you. We hardly knew you were there. And at first I was a bit like, oh, that doesn't sound like much of a compliment. But Scott has reassured me that it is the highest compliment you can get as a referee. However, I feel that getting feedback from a referee can be a little bit more constructive, purely because they kind of know what they're looking for, they know what you're kind of doing. So just even a little bit like, if you're kind of doing a 5 count in the corner, they can kind of tell you if your cadence is good with your count, if you're kind of making the actions big enough. Because obviously for me, I'm quite small. I'm 5'1" and the half definitely counts.
Yes.
So I feel like I have to try and make things a lot bigger just to make things look average.
No, I've heard that a few times with the my other half is 5'1.5".
Exactly.
So again, yes, she worked hard for that half. So she's making sure everybody knows it's 5'1.5".
Exactly.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously, I'd love to take the mick out of. I mean, referees must be like, the the slowest counters to 10. You know, normal person counts to 10. Match is done like that. Do you kind of get told? Is it like, you know, the sort of say like in cat years, you know, like 1 human year is 7 years for cats. You know, 1 second to a normal human being, is that like 3 seconds to a ref?
I guess, well, sometimes you get some like, yeah, we're gonna do some stuff on the outside, so can you just like be really generous with the 10 count? And you can kind of put little buffers in there to pad things out, so you'll have like, right, come on, you need to get back in the ring now, guys, and then you kind of count again. You kind of look at how things are going on the outside to understand, right, if they're all the way at the other side of the venue and you're on a 7, right, they're not getting back for a 10 count. So something big needs to happen, so you end up having to go out to check on them, or they need to come running back to roll back into the ring to restart that count. Unless you want to go a catch at the show that I just did, and we had a 20 count, so that was lovely. But it feels very unnatural when you say 10 and you're like, right, ring the bell, and oh no, we go straight to 11, and then the audience is looking at you like, 11? And like, how do I count 11 on my hands? I'm like, 11? Like, 1 again?
Take your shoes off. Take the boots off. But yeah, I mean, it was sort of like, I think it was either I was speaking to Scott, I think he got caught on it like very early on, like when he was learning, you know, he was just counting 10 too fast, and the rest of them were literally like, dude, you know, stop, you've got to give us a bit of time, kind of thing. And it's like, that's one of the first things that, you know, that you learn. It's like, right, okay, assess the situation, like I said, use a bit of common sense.
There's making sure that you have a good 10 count, but there is also wrestlers taking the piss. If there is a 10 count, it's there as a rule. It's there for a reason, okay? So just don't take the piss, okay? We try and pad it out as much as we can for you. We don't want to count you out on purpose, all right? Just roll back in the ring. Just roll back in the ring and we can start, all right? And if you want to spend that much time on the outside, have a bloody no count out match, all right?
That's a totally valid point, though. Like you sort of say, it will literally take 1 second just to be like, right, readjust, roll in, roll back out, and then we can crack on again.
Yeah,
it's just that thing, like, right, yeah, Josh, right, yeah, that takes the pressure off of you. You don't look like a mug. You're like, right, okay, I can start from 1 again. Awesome, right?
Or
crack on.
Sometimes we'll just say, can you just follow us up to the outside? Can you just follow us? And I'm like, what? If you're looking at like wrestlers on TV, I mean referees on TV, they're not following the guys out there, unless we've got like a falls count anywhere or that kind of situation. You know, I'm not going to follow you. Oh, just follow me. And you're like, no, perhaps not. You know, maybe like hit another guy into like the ring post. Make me come out there to check that they're okay, and then I can kind of reset the count. But let's kind of think of different ways to work around it, as opposed to just follow me out there.
Again, yeah, it doesn't tell a story. You guys are pivotal to the story. What you do needs to be as relatable or believable as what they do. So yeah, just asking you to do that would be like, no, because any wrestling fan worth their salt would be like, hang on a minute, that ref's just totally sort of been unref-like.
It's like, what's the point in having rules if we're not gonna at least loosely stick to them? You know, like when I first started refereeing, I'd have just been like, yeah, sure, okay, all right. I didn't have the confidence to kind of like speak up and be like, well, no, that's not really how we should do things. But I kind of feel like the last kind of year I've kind of really come into a bit more confidence and be like, you know, let's not do that. Let's find something else to work around it.
That's it. You got to protect yourself. You know what I mean? Your commodity, your brand. You're as a ref, you've got to protect your integrity. Really, you don't want to, like I say, you don't want to look like a soft touch. You know, you're that figure of authority.
Exactly.
You know, you got to put your foot down.
Exactly. You're going to say like there's whole rules to a wrestling match. You know, some matches it may not feel that way, but as a referee, like you say, there's rules there. They're there to be kind of worked with. Yeah.
Because it kind of comes back to the 3 count. You know, like if a ref, like it comes down again, I think, you know, there's different kind of viewpoints on it. I know where I stand on it, but like if you're counting, you know, 1, 2, 3, and the wrestler forgets to lift the shoulder up, or they can't get the shoulder up for whatever reason, and you're coming down for that 3rd count, you have to make that 3rd count. And you have to own that decision, and that's it. Match over.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say you can only get so good at a good swipe when you're going in for the 3 and you go, oh, do a little swipe, you're like, oh, no. And then I don't know, you kind of got to either really sell it, like if you go in for the 3 and you hit that 3, you've got to own it, like you say, but you can kind of try to do a swipe, but and you can really sell it. Like if you kind of feel like it's very close to a 3, but it was a 2, you just have to be really big, really like sell it. 2, it's close, kind of give you your hand moves. Oh, close, but the shoulders up. So yeah, you got to own the decision.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's the thing, because again, some people sort of say, the referee should know better, or it's on the wrestler. But for me personally, it's on the wrestler. You've got to. It's the referee's job is to make the match look believable. Like you said, you've got rules to enforce. You enforce them. If the wrestlers want to be flamboyant, if they want to do this, that, and the other, that's fine. They've got that creative freedom. It's your guy's job to make it look like a real fight.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That 1, 2, 3 is to count that 1, 2, 3.
Gonna say you can be really close with those near falls, and we can be as generous as we can be. Well, like you say, it's on the wrestler. If your shoulders down, like your shoulders down, there's nothing else that we can kind of do. Because if we kind of are like, no, it's a 2, you get the awkward hover, you're like, oh, and you get that moment where like you look crap, the wrestlers look crap. You have the awkward moment where you're like, what do we do? But yeah, like I say, it's a story to tell, but it's still got to look believable within the rules that you've got.
That's it, exactly. So, but again, that was an example. Not everything goes to plan, like you sort of said with the Pursuit 5. Sometimes you could mess up a count. Sometimes, a wrestler will kick out when they're not meant to. I've heard a few stories from a few people of talent that has forgotten the finish, kicked out, and they shouldn't have done. And it's all of a sudden it's like, shit, we need to work out a new finish. We need to do it on the fly. Have you encountered that situation?
I think I have had. It's more of like it was a tag match, and basically it was one of the guys was obviously down for the count, but then one of the other guys was meant to come in and obviously break up that count. That didn't happen, and because I was meant to not see the guy coming in to break up the count, I couldn't be then in the other guys who go, you need to kick out. So I had literally a very awkward moment of like, 2, it was definitely a 2. So yeah, that was kind of an awkward moment, meant to be a bit of a kick out there, but I can't off the top of my head think about when someone's kind of kicked out when it was meant to be a finish. I know kind of things do happen and change on the fly, and you just kind of got to roll with it. Lee's very good at doing that. But yeah, so just for that situation for me, it's more of the having a kick out when there was meant to be one.
Well, fingers crossed it never happens, because I can just imagine that just literally being like, somebody's then it's up to you. Everybody in that ring is then suddenly got to be like, crap, we're going over time anyway. We need to think of something to wrap it up very, very quick, and for everybody to be on the same page. Just be like, I can just imagine that being a nightmare.
And then in terms of timings for like a referee, we can give timings until we're blue in the face. It's up to the wrestlers to listen to the fact that we're giving them timings. If you wanna go with the timings, cool, that's great. The promoter will love you. If you're gonna go over your timings, then that's on you. If I'm giving you them, but if you're going over, just make it good, make it worth. If you're going over, don't go over time just for the sake of going over time.
That's it. I mean, I'm a massive sort of book geek. I've read autobiographies left, right, instead of like with wrestling and stuff, and it's been touched upon a few times where people have sort of said, they went over by like 10 minutes. They got through the curtain and they got the absolute arse chewed, but there was just like, it's a good job. It was a good freaking match kind of thing. We'll let you off this time because you had like a 5-star banger. So it's like, if you're going to go over, make sure you have a hell of a match.
Yeah, exactly. Make it worthwhile.
So, well, you mentioned kind of rewinding a little bit. You sort of said you've always been into wrestling. Have you always just been like a WWE person, or do you we mentioned AEW earlier with Aubrey. Do you try and watch as much as you can? Can you still watch it as a fan, or do you find yourself, looking at the refs and being like, I think it was Lee who sort of said that you can't watch AEW because of the officiating.
Well, I mean, I guess I definitely don't watch as much wrestling as I feel like I should, but I just feel like there's so much choice out there now. It's a little bit overwhelming sometimes. But yeah, so like as a kid, it was always like WWE for me. A little bit of a TNA in there as well. But yeah, if I kind of watch wrestling now, I'm always looking at what the referee's doing, seeing what I can kind of take to improve on what I'm doing. I've noticed even if I'm like a live show now, I try to kind of like separate my mind to just watch it as a fan, but I'm always in the back of my head still watching what the referee's doing as well. So
Yeah.
it can be quite difficult. I mean, if I had the time, I could watch things twice. However, most of the time I don't even have the time to watch it once.
So, but that again, that's kind of like, like sort of say, it's just, I asked, wrestlers that, and they sort of say that they're the sort of same, it's very difficult to switch off. They want to watch it as a fan, but they end up sort of critiquing stuff or making notes. Right, referees who, there's a few out there, and a few, obviously you guys will know the names of them more than I do. I just kind of know them from the faces when I see them on TV. But certain referees seem to be very guilty of trying to make the match about them. And that's obviously a big no-no, when it comes to being a ref. You guys aren't the focal point. You, as a wrestler says, it's nice. It feels like you're not there, kind of thing. That's a huge compliment.
Exactly.
But it must be like, very tempting to be like, I'm going to oversell that bump and be like in the ring, and you'd be like, no, don't do that.
Not about you. Like, you're not on the poster as a referee. That you're there as like a background official kind of figure. You're not the one that's selling tickets for the show. Although I feel like sometimes I am guilty of overselling things. I'm very kind of like, oh, and I'm like, calm down. Like, it was just a clothesline, Sandy. Just this clothesline. But yeah, sometimes I can be guilty of that. So I'm trying to improve on that. But I'm only little. I don't take up much space in the ring. No one's paying attention to me. So
like I've seen you at numerous shows. I've never picked up on that. I've never actually thought you've oversold, anything. I've always kind of thought, it's been realistic reactions. Like I said though, you're, because of your height, what you probably think is a huge mannerism probably isn't that big. It just looks natural. It's kind of like, you flinch when somebody gets hit. It's like, oh damn, yeah. Anybody that close to the action would do.
And I kind of well, like in terms of like refereeing and wrestling, like if you don't think you kind of action or your move is kind of big enough, you need to really exaggerate it to make it really kind of come across. Like even like say like counts and stuff in the corner, you need to be like big, you need to be bold. When you get that near fall, you need to again be really big, be bold, like really sell it like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was just a 2, it was so close. But yeah, you've got to be like really big, and you probably think you feel like stupid in the moment, but actually looking back when it's recorded, like actually, yeah, that was enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, as a fan, I'm seeing it and it all looks like it flows very, very well, kind of thing. So, but I was recently speaking to someone who does commentary, and they're sort of saying like when they're doing the commentary, they kind of have to sort of match the tone of the crowd. They don't want to be selling moves like a wrist lock too much too soon, because where do you go from there on commentary, kind of thing. And I think a ref's body language is very much like a form of commentary in the ring. You need to kind of sell the impact of the moves as they progress. So the little moves, obviously, you don't sell, it doesn't matter. But as the match goes on and it goes on and it goes on, you start selling the moves as well with your body language.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say like the body language from like just the lock up to start, going all the way to like, I don't know, triple power bomb or whatever by Kemper. There's going to be like a lot of difference in between your body language. You can't react the same kind of way. You've obviously got to build that drama. And that can obviously translate with the audience, again, translate with commentary as well. So yeah, you're still kind of part of the story. You're a small part of it, but you're still kind of contributing to it.
Like I said, yeah, it's a pivotal part because you're the thing in the ring that's not a wrestler. So you're how the fan relates to the match. Your reactions would be the fan's reaction, kind of thing, because you're so close to the action.
And I find some referees, because I find that as a referee, you see these moves, you see these people all the time. Like it's kind of more commonplace to you, but yet you're a referee, like you're not a wrestler. So if you got these like big beefy dudes like knocking lumps out of each other, you're going to be like, because like as a referee, we're just an average guy, an average Joe or whatever. So
yeah, that's what I mean. That's why you're relatable to for the fans. Yeah, you're just kind of in there and be like, oh crap, yeah, I would react if I was that close to the action. Or if I was like in there with like Music Man and Kemper, throwing fists at each other, I'd be like, whoa, no, too close, too close.
Yeah, I gotta avoid those swings.
Well, back to Pursuit again, though. Obviously, anybody who's watched Pursuit show, ring size. Obviously, I've spoke to Ellis recently about the trip to Mexico, and they were saying that they worked like a 20-foot ring, and even Kemper looks lost in that freaking ring. It was huge, but obviously you see him in Pursuit, and it's a smaller. As a ref, is it better in a big ring because it's easier for you to get out of the way? You've got more movement, or do you kind of does a smaller one suit you better because you can kind of just stay where you are?
I mean, I guess it's kind of got like pros and cons, kind of both. Obviously, if it's a bit smaller, you are covering less steps, so you're kind of not gassing yourself out as much. However, you're much closer to like the wrestlers, so you're having to make sure you're avoiding getting accidentally punched. You need to make sure that you're not going to get kind of squashed in the corner if they're kind of going in for a tackle in the corner. Sometimes it can be hard for like placement when you're kind of looking at pins and stuff. Again, obviously, if like the wrestler they're trying to do kind of maybe like some kind of like pin sequence, they've really got to have that good ring awareness within a small ring to understand, and they're not going to just be like, oh well, we're right next to the ropes here. I could just literally put my foot on the rope and that's it. The count's broke. But if you're in a big ring, you've got like a lot of footage to cover, and I think it's very tempting to stay further away from the action, when as a referee you kind of need to be close in there. Obviously not too close, but yeah, you kind of got to make sure you're still close into the action, but you've got all this space for activities, and you just want to ooh.
That's it though. But yeah, like you said, I suppose if you're too far away, it's going to take you a second to get over for the 1, 2, 3. When you count 1, 2, 3, you add that extra second on there. That makes it a 4 count, and it just ruins the momentum. So
yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, like you said, pros and cons. I suppose I was kind of looking at it, being like, I could just imagine getting to this massive ring, and be like you said, look at all this space.
Mm-hmm.
I can have a little dance over here. Nobody's going to notice. They can do what they're doing. But yeah, I think again though, it's when you go into different promotions, do you kind of get in the ring and I like obviously wrestlers like to run the ropes to kind of get a feel for it. Do you just kind of like move around the ring a little bit to kind of assess where it's best to be at any given point?
I'm kind of used to working with slightly, I guess, smaller rings, and that's fine for me because I don't really take up much room. But I know some like referees like to kind of get in and kind of like test the boards and stuff, and like kind of do like a good kind of pin count, just to kind of understand how much give the ring's got, if it's got any. Sometimes it's kind of good to have a look around the apron to see perhaps maybe if there's like kind of a loose board, or if a board's not kind of quite long enough, you can kind of like warn the guys, we're like, right, we need to be careful at this point here and here. I know I had worked a show quite a while ago where actually one of the boards broke during the match. I think it was a tag match, and I had to be like going up to the guys on edge, like, by the way, you can't step here. There is literally a hole in this ring right now, so please don't step here. They were very good and they managed to work with it. But yeah, it happens. I know sometimes as well, like boards have kind of like been rearranged during like matches and stuff, and like guys have to sneak underneath to shimmy and rearrange discreetly.
Wow. Well, I suppose if there's like a hole there, I suppose you kind of Obviously, you want to be able to move around and do stuff, but I'm guessing part of you is going to be like, well, if I kind of stay here, that will stop them from coming over. You're kind of protecting them by being like, right, I'm stood here, stay over there.
Yeah.
Even if subconsciously, I know, like I said, you want to move around, but you know there's a hole there, so you kind of, But if I stand here, I'll protect you guys. You stay over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's not gimmick for Kane emerging, underneath the.
I just got like, just imagine Wing Commander Nash coming out the bottom with a duck or something.
So good,
I mean, that's the thing as well. Obviously, kudos to you guys for being professional, because especially like a pursuit of a massive mark for True Grit. Like I just mentioned, Ace and Wing Commander Nash. You guys have to look, like I say, you're the authority figures. How you guys stand there sometimes and just don't absolutely burst out laughing at some of the stuff. Kudos, that is just true professionalism.
It's so hard not to, like, especially so when you got Ace and you got Nash. I think it was at First Pursuit when it was the tag match. So we had Nash Boat, and then we had Nash and and so we literally had like a distraction spot where like Nash's like, oh, come over here, look at my socks, Sandy, look at my socks. And he was wearing like yellow socks, and I always wear yellow socks, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, me too. So I felt like I could kind of blend into it, but like I lost myself as a referee in that moment.
To be fair, if anyone is going to break you, it's going to be Nash. I think there's anybody that could begrudge you.
Like the way that he enters the ring absolutely terrifies me. I feel like he's going to break his neck one day, but he manages to escape it every time. So, touch wood. We keep going with the safety.
Yes, definitely. Although to be fair, I think it's probably could take a knock or two, and he's probably got like a little bit of safety lining if he needs the helmet on, the pilot helmet. You probably find he's got a little bit of a steel plate at the front just in case.
You can rock a little rubber duck ring, protect.
So obviously we talked Planet Wrestle. I mean, we've got True Grit coming up in January. I presume yourself and Lee are going to be there for the Rumble. Yes. Are you? Obviously, Rumbles are always sort of fun. You guys don't have to be in the ring, but you kind of obviously will be around it to check for the feet touching. Do you guys enjoy that? Obviously, it's kind of not as bad for you, but obviously you've still got a role to play.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a Rumble is an easy shift. Literally just on the outside, making sure obviously the guys and girls are keeping safe still on the inside of the ring, so we can still be there. We can be on the outside to communicate messages as much as we can. But yeah, I kind of sometimes I enjoy a Rumble, sometimes it's a bit like but yeah, you just got to be like really good with your actions to be like, oh, is it touching? Oh, your feet touching? But yeah.
That's it as well. I mean, obviously for the talent in the ring, it's absolute minefield because like I say, it's 30 people. There's bits to remember here and there. Somebody accidentally slips and falls out. That's that moment gone. But again, I don't think people kind of have thought about it. Obviously, you guys are walking around the side. You're very much you can kind of control stuff a little bit, or you can kind of guide people. And again, I don't think people pick up on that sometimes, but I think it's important to kind of point it out because you kind of help to guide things along.
Yeah, we're definitely there to help. Like I say, we want to help the shows succeed as much as we can, just as much as like the wrestlers as well. So we're there. You can use us. It's fine.
So like I say, I've talked Pursuit. Talked earlier, obviously, like sort of territorial kind of promotions. Anywhere next year that you would like to go guest ref at? I ask the wrestlers all the time, if they've got promotions, if they've got like a list of places they want to go just to experience, just to step inside the ring as a ref. Where's on your radar to go, and be authoritative?
I think definitely North feels like it's the ultimate. I feel like North is doing really, really great things. But in terms of like their reffing team, it's absolutely cracking. You know, they've got like Rich, they've got John, obviously they've got like Ross now, they've got Katie that's been doing like the pre-shows. You know, they're all absolutely smashing it. So North is in very safe hands. You know, I am there if you ever need me, guys. However, you know, big props to the ref team that they've got now. Obviously kind of there'd be Wrestle Carnival, but obviously they are now on hiatus, so you know, hopefully they'll be back in the future. I feel obviously like, you know, Progress if they ever want it, but again they've got like a really sound ref team that they've got going on. I refereed for, I think it was TNT when I did the original Sirens Fury last year. But I've not managed to go back as of yet, so that'll be very cool. They've got lots of things going on, but again, they are in very, very safe referee hands. You know, I'm just there if you need a backup.
How about something like up in ICW up in Scotland? How would you like to try being an authority figure in front of a Scottish audience?
Oh, I think I could give it a try. I do have actually my Scottish debut next year, where I'll be refereeing for Discovery in February. So yeah, I'll be enjoying the Scottish fans and seeing how they enjoy a bit of Beeches.
That's got to be. Is this your Scottish cherry? Is this the first time you've been up there as a ref? Will it be the first time you've been up there as a ref?
Yeah. So
Ooh.
I'm crossing the border.
Obviously, you know, you'll smash it. You know, hopefully it's a great time up there. But I love the Scottish wrestling audience. I think, you know, the guys are freaking mental up there. You know, I just love how they just absolutely pop huge for that sort of stuff. So hopefully, you know, you'll get in there, you'll feel the electricity, and you'll just soak it all up. How did that come about though? Did obviously somebody just contact you? Did somebody sort of be like, you know, give Sandy a bell, you know, she'll crack on?
Well, actually, my partner is Ian Skinner. So he is very much a big part of Discovery Wrestling, and he's absolutely smashing it up there. So I am a party too, and hopefully, if they feel that I am good, then hopefully that I get booked again. But yeah, big
Right.
props to him.
Yes, well done, sir. Kudos. That's quality. So, like I said, I hope you enjoy it. I just think, you know, it's something that needs to be experienced, and I think you'll go up there, absolutely smash it, and just show them how it's done, shall we say?
Give him a little bit of Yorkshire.
Yes. I don't know what I'm saying yes for. I'm saying yes like I'm a Yorkshire. I'm not. I live in Leeds, but I'm a Nottingham boy, so I kind of keep forgetting something every now and again. It's like I've lived up here for 20 years, but I'm not Yorkshire. I'm not Yorkshire.
Damn.
Yes, so just clock the time. We are coming up to the 1 hour mark. I'll plug where people can find you, because obviously where people can find you, you know, you'll mention shows, you'll big up the shows that you're going to be on, gets eyes on the shows. Socials, where can people find you and see where you're working?
I guess the most kind of active one is probably Instagram. So that is just Sandy Beeches _. Beeches is a double E, just to put it out there. And I also have Twitter. So that's just ref Sandy Beeches. I'm not very active on Twitter. I try, but I've got a lot of things going on in my life, you know, so it's kind of hard to keep on the socials. And I've pushed past the 30-year-old mark now, so I don't get all these extra social media. So yeah, Instagram mostly, Twitter occasionally.
I use it to plug my shit, and I kind of get off again. I've made the mistake of running some polls at the minute, which just seem to be going freaking mental. So my Twitter's just like, I'm getting shouted at by people like, why are we not in the poll? I don't know. I didn't sort of put you in. I'm sorry. Don't shout at me.
There's so many like amazing promotions going on and new ones popping up all the time. Obviously, you know, you got like Sov going on, you got like True Grit going on, you got wrestling in Newcastle that's come about as well. So all these really great promotions all deserve as much credit as they can. But sometimes there's so much going on that sometimes things do slip your mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've just got to go quiet. I'm going to go sit in the corner and rock. I feel like I've upset people. I don't like it. So, but no, obviously, please go follow Sandy. Obviously, I will tag you in all the posts regarding this episode. Go follow, go support, and look out at future shows. Show your support. Love a ref. They're there for a reason. They make the show go smoother. So please appreciate your local referees. And obviously, thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. Keep your eye on the socials. As I said, we've got polls going up. I thought it would be a good idea to do a Work the Left Side end of year awards thing.
Have you got the favourite Ref of the Year award?
How could I? I'm not going to pit people against you and Scott and Lee. I thought about it. I was like, no, because then I'd just feel bad. Whoever did win, I'd feel bad on the next person. So I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't need that. I don't need the pressure. So yeah, thank you for hitting like, hit subscribe, share, keep your eyes peeled. Obviously, huge things to come next year. I've just announced that we will be talking to Odyssey next year on the show. Don't forget, wrestling is still real in Morecambe, so I'm looking forward to that one. And yes, we will speak to you very soon. Bye bye.